Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be going through some of the basics of Astro.com. Give you a little reason behind why I typically use Astro.com. In addition to my fancy astrologer software called SolarFire, if you have the extra money to chunk out for that, and you're really serious about becoming proficient in reading charts, not just understanding your own, I would recommend SolarFire. And it still has way more features than I'll ever use even. I mean, you can cast a chart in any number of ways, Western, Eastern, tropical, sidereal. And there are lots of features that I don't even understand and will probably never make use of. But still, it's good to have that that library of charts to draw from, to study. Especially when it comes to aspects and, finding combinations of placements and just doing your own research, figuring out what kinds of things are actually correlated in astrology. So anyway, astro.com is the website that I'll use just for basic chart casting and for presenting someone's chart during a consultation. Let me share screen real quick and we'll get into it. Okay, so this is my blog. This is a pretty good blog post. Why your kid's smarter than you. Wrote that one a few years back. Okay, so go to astro.com. And I don't remember exactly where to start as far as casting your chart. I assume that should be self-explanatory. But once you do get your chart info in there and create an account, you'll come up to My Astro, stored Astro data, and it'll have a list of all of the charts that you have in your library. You can store up to 100 on the site for free. If you want unlimited chart capacity, you have to pay for the website, and there are some extra services that are available. But this video is just about some of my favorite free services on astro.com. So you pull up a chart, you click on the name, and you can set your default chart style on this extended chart selection, which will give you a particular kind of chart layout when you click this right here, this chart drawing with ascendant. Now for me, I like to have, all right, natal chart wheel. That's the type of chart that you're casting. Okay. You can also do synastry chart if you want to compare your chart with another person, see where their planets come into your houses and vice versa. It's very useful. And composite chart midpoint method. These are the two relationship charts that I use for compatibility work. Composite chart midpoint gives you the midpoint between each of your planets. So the midpoint between your Venus and a partner's Venus is going to be your composite Venus. Those are really the only two relationship charts and charts beyond the chart wheel that I routinely utilize. But look at how many different kinds of charts are available. Progress charts, progress composite charts. It gets that's more advanced type stuff. Draconitic chart, 9 persona chart, harmonic chart. Okay, you get the idea. There are lots of options. So then we have the natal chart wheel, chart drawing style. What are you looking to include in the chart layout? So the web default style is going to give you the default astro.com layout. And it's going to look something like that. I mean, this is my chart. Your chart's not going to look like this, but this is how the aspects are going to be, these kind of thinner lines. Now, since I place so much emphasis on aspects because I do kind of a form of psychological astrology, I want to see which aspects are most prominent, because those are going to be the, the relationships between planets that are felt the most by the individual. So I choose, and this is my default. Anytime I just pull up a chart without going to this page, this is what comes up. I do AstroDienst with AC, ascendant and midheaven aspects. So I include aspects to the angles, and it ends up looking like this. You see the, so this trine right here, it's a little thinner between Moon and Mars. It's a little thinner than these trines over here from this Cancer stellium to Pluto in the midheaven, right? And that's because it's a much looser orb in this trine between the Moon and Mars. So the strength of the aspect is going to be represented by the thickness of the aspect line. That's just a very useful tool for me because of the style of astrology that I do. Come back to chart selection, extended chart selection. Obviously, you can choose your house system. Okay. They have every type of house system that I'm familiar with, and plenty that I'm not. Placidus is the default style. I have my default set to porphyry because I prefer porphyry, which is also a dynamic quadrant house system. But you can also do equal house, whole sign, any of these, Pullen. All right, calculation options. You have the option to calculate of different calculations of the nodes, which are going to give you slightly different results. Here's some extras. Traditional astrology options. Turn Chiron off, right? Traditional astrologers don't use Chiron. Decans, Egyptian terms, Ptolemaic terms, with zodiacal releasing. If you're looking into maybe future events, probably pretty good for electional astrology to include that. Same, traditional astrologers don't use the outer planets. You can turn off Uranus through Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Aspects, I prefer to look at aspects to Chiron and the nodes, because I place a lot of emphasis on the nodes in a chart reading. I wouldn't say that I'm a full-on evolutionary astrologer like Stephen Forrest, but it's very useful if somebody especially is coming to me with a question regarding something as general as purpose and meaning in their life. Obviously, the nodes are going to be major orienting factors for that broad kind of question, because the nodes, we're talking about what the work that you're coming into this life having to master, south node, and the work that you're kind of burdened with striving toward and fulfilling in this life, north node. So to look at the aspects to the nodes, that's going to give you, okay, which parts of myself that are more conscious, that's the, say, inner planets especially, are going to be most closely connected with my higher purpose. You could be like a very sun-oriented person, very like ego-driven person, but maybe there's a square, a hard aspect, a square between your sun and your north and south node. And so that would indicate that in order to find your purpose, you kind of have to leave your ego at the door. You have to find a particular container to express that, but knowing that it's not going to be so intimately connected to you when you're doing your most meaningful work. All right. But I'm not saying to dissolve the ego. The sun still needs expression. It still needs to offer heat and light and energy to the rest of your chart, as it does in the solar system, right? Chiron, as far as the importance goes, again, this is just the style of astrology that I practice. I don't, it doesn't always catch my eye. Okay. Chiron's kind of a secondary thing. But if somebody's coming to me with issues that sound like Chiron issues, I may look to Chiron. If I see a lot of aspects to Chiron, it is going to naturally become more important to that individual. It could be, at the apex of kite formation. That would give it a little more importance than someone who had no aspects to Chiron. Okay. So you have all these options on how to lay out the chart. Oh, manual. Also, you can manually enter any of these asteroids and other points to add to your chart layout, and you do so right here. I chose to do Lilith. I don't even really look at Lilith. I could probably erase that. Not that it's never been relevant. Again, aspects. If it's in a conjunction with a major planet, and there are lots of aspects to that planet, there are also going to be aspects to Lilith. And that'll, add an extra layer of complexity to that planet. So anyway, let's go back to this page, right? This is, again, the page that's going to come up right when you click on your name in your chart list, or whatever name of whichever chart you want to pull up. There are a few good, few really solid. Some of these are paid. And one of the reasons I like Astro.com is there are so many optional features by such fantastic astrologers, such as Liz Green, Robert Pelletier, Robert Hand. Some of the biggest names in astrology have contributed to the site and continue to. So Liz Green has lots of different features that she contributes to on the site. This is one of my favorites, though, this personal portrait by Robert Pelletier. It kind of automatically selects some of the most important parts of your chart and combinations of things going on, and allows you to kind of take a snapshot of those placements, of those parts of your chart, and it puts it into a nice few paragraphs and gives you a nice psychological breakdown. So for this, it's one thing to have Sun in Cancer, Moon in Capricorn. It's another thing to have both of those placements at the same time. So there's a pre-written description by Robert Pelletier about that. And the same is the case for every combination of Sun and Moon sign. And then it is also going to give you something about your chart ruler or your ascendant ruler. And, what does it mean to have ascendant in Capricorn while having the Capricorn ruler Saturn in the first house? My Saturn's like kind of on the cusp. It's of the ascendant. It's in the 12th house, but it's so close to the first house. It's accurate to interpret it in the first house. And then Saturn in the first house, Saturn conjunct ascendant. See, so Saturn is naturally very important in my chart. It's my strongest planet. So a lot of information comes up about Saturn in this description. Then Venus, it'll probably have your house placement of Venus, maybe your house placement of the Sun, and then one or two major aspects: Mercury opposite ascendant, Jupiter opposite ascendant, Moon in the 12th house. So just to get you started on interpreting your own chart. I also really like this Astro Click portrait. This is another great tool. Astro Click. You can click on any part of the chart and it'll give you a description of everything that is connected to that. With at least one description, sometimes two. So these descriptions are written by Robert Hand. And then for some of these, there are secondary descriptions written by Robert Pelletier. So I click on the moon here, and it gives you this list of moon in the 12th house, moon in Capricorn, moon conjunct Neptune, moon conjunct Uranus, moon trine Mars. Those are all the major things associated with my moon, right? And you can click on any of those and read about them. See this one, moon in the 12th house, has an alternative interpretation also by Robert Pelletier. You can also click on the house itself. Clicked on the 12th house. There are 4 planets in this house, moon in the 12th, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then general meaning of the 12th house. Click on the sun, everything associated with the sun. Sun in the 6th house, sun in Cancer, sun conjunct Jupiter, Mercury, opposite Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, sun trine midheaven, trine Pluto. Okay, you get the idea. So you can go through every part of your chart, get at least one professional description, psychological description of that, everything associated with that. Go back to extended chart selection. One more thing that I'll show you right now is, let me go extended chart selection. And this is kind of like a nerd's way of like quantifying value of each of the planets, maybe each of the signs, to see what's most strongly showing up in your chart. Probably not going to give you any information that you're not super aware of already, but it's useful just to like keep in mind. Like even though your chart ruler might be Venus, you might have more aspects and a stronger position of your Jupiter, and you might actually be a more Jupiter type person. Chart type. You know, I actually haven't done this in a while. The pull in, ooh, bear with me. They changed it. There's a new tab for it. Yeah, so in extended chart selection, come over here to pull in report. And we'll just show the chart. Where's the report? Okay, they've changed this a bit. Okay, never mind. I'll have to revisit that. Okay, you can pull up an ephemeris. That's useful. Ephemeris is basically a listing of all the major transits throughout a certain span of time. So there's an ephemeris table, set of ephemeris tables for the year 2023, shows you all of the planets and their positions in the year 2023. So you can keep track of the transits. And then you can, compare that to the degree markers of your own planets in your chart and see if there are any exact aspects. Gives you week to week. Let's see, where are we right now? 15th of November. Let's go down to November. It's Wednesday, 15th. Gives you sun is on the 22nd degree. Of Scorpio. Moon is on the 12th degree of Sagittarius. So on and so forth. But this is also shown in a much simpler fashion when you pull up your chart as normal and you click with transits. And the transits are actually shown in green around the outside of your chart, representing the external planets at this time affecting your chart at a given moment. And so we see the Sun and Mars are both in a pretty tight conjunction here in Scorpio. That's going through my 10th house right now. Moon is in Sagittarius over here. Mercury, Sagittarius, Pluto. Still right near the cusp of Aquarius. So just to give you a general idea of the transits, what's happening out there at the moment. Jupiter bringing potential abundance and opportunities to the area of home of, Taurus, which is on my 4th house cusp. So yeah, to pull up the transits, all you do is click that little blue button right there. And then down here, it shows exact degrees. And as soon as you hit that transit button, it's going to pull up the transits for that moment, for that minute. So it's giving me the exact degrees of the Sun in Scorpio right now, 23 degrees Scorpio. All right, so those are just a few of my favorites and really the most useful some of the most useful and kind of straightforward, easiest to navigate features of astro.com. So anyway, hope that's helpful. Have a good day. Cheers.